and welcome to part 7 of our Project Cafe Scrambler build. And this week, massive changes are coming. So, Malcolm, tell us what's happening.
Well,
tea cake.
Tea cake first, primarily crumbs, primarily food. But we're going to remount our seat and tank, and we're going to make some brackets to actually fix the seat down today. We're then going to refit the original foot pegs in the original position and see how they fare. Having just sat on the bike, I think we're going to be alright, but I didn't have the seat on, to be fair. It's a bit lumpy on the old butt. Oh, and we need to fit these shocks as well, new shocks, and see how we crack on with them as well. Yeah.
Try that. Second.
Those things, doing those things, they heard.
Very nice. Now, before we get on to today's tasks, let's talk about those decisions we were discussing. Now, we have an issue with this back wheel and swing arm. Not only because it's a 100 tyre, and it's a bit... the wheel is not lined up properly. But if we were to line the wheel up properly, the gap between the swing arm on either side would be about this much on one side and about this much on the other side. It would be very wrong. So
and very restrictive when it comes to fitting a tyre.
Exactly. So we are looking at modifying the swing arm, as in using this one, getting it built slightly wider, which would mean changing the brake system. Now this has drum brakes on the back and they're housed underneath because of the pivot that it's on. So we'd have to change that. So the thought was disc brakes. So that's the idea. Now with disc brakes, obviously it won't mount onto this wheel, so that would mean a new wheel, which would also mean a new front wheel to match, which would also mean different tyres. So,
well, the Brucey bonus, of course, these being 18-inch wheels,
yep.
We can't get tyres.
No, that's the other issue we've had. We've been looking around for tyres, and 18-inch tyres, we can get the back tyre, but we can't get the front, certainly in the size we want.
You can get road tyres, no problem.
Yeah, which is useless.
But we don't want road tyres.
No, we want Scrambler tyres.
Ish.
Yeah, Scrambler, off-road, enduro type
Yeah.
tyres, that sort of thing. So, the plan is, at the moment, new wheels, new tyres, rear brake disc, new front disc on the front, obviously brake disc assembly for the rear,
Caliper and whatnot,
and caliper, and modify the swing arm. It's a big change, but we are looking at something along the lines of the Bullet Hero. Now you've seen that in videos we've done before, and I posted a picture of the Martini style one on Instagram a little while ago. That one is playing very big interest, if you catch my drift. So
that's a nice little tyre and wheel combo.
It is, and they're 17-inch.
Yeah, which means it gives you a good scope for changing tyres down the line.
Indeed.
These 18s are a pain.
The only restriction we've got there is the chain. We don't want to have to put a spacer on the sprocket on the front, because that would mean, as Malcolm says, changing all the casing, and that is a bit awkward. So we're still a little bit restricted on size, but the tyres on the Hero are 4.6 by 17, which is around about a 125 tyre, halfway between 120 and 130, obviously. And that looks pretty damn chunky. So that's our option. It also looks like we're going to have to change the front forks because of the space we've got either side for the wheel that's in here. Now this is a 90 tyre. Obviously with everything off, it looks pretty good. It looks quite fat and chunky, doesn't it? But when everything's back together again, it looks really tiny. And there's not a lot of space in there. And so possibly some new forks too.
And you can't get a knobbly tyre for an 18-inch front wheel.
Exactly.
It just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So, changing the wheels out to 17s does appear to be a very
good option.
Yeah, it sounds nice.
So the plan is new wheels, new tyres, possibly new forks, new rear caliper assembly, and modification on the swing arm.
Of course, that also means messing with the speedo and
Yeah.
the front brake caliper.
Yeah.
But then if we get different forks, maybe we can tie it into that. So we'll see.
So watch this space. And now on to today. Malcolm, what's first?
Seat bracket.
Crack on. You're not cracking on.
I'm not. Easy peasy. Right, so we're just going to get these out of the way. So we've got a bit more space to deal with the brackets for the seat. Right.
Yeah, marvellous.
Twist, it should come off. There we go.
Marvellous, jubbly. Look at the rubber on that, quality.
So having removed these old scabby things and removed one of these from the box,
And Paris rubbers.
Paris rubbers, I need to buy some new rubbers because these, unfortunately, don't fit on our shock peg thing, and the bolt hole size here is too small for our bush down the bottom, so we're going to replace the original 400 bushes.
Get some more of these bushes to go
Yeah.
into here.
So it will fit in there, it's just the centre on this is too small.
Yeah.
So we'll buy some new 400 bushes, we'll drill out this hole at the bottom and re-tap that to the size we want down here. And we will gain a whopping, probably about 1.25 inches there, which is a good jack up from our original height. But because we can't fit these today, what we're going to do is we've already worked out we're gaining 1.25 inches. So we know what the right height is for these. So we're just going to wedge something under here once we've fitted the seat to make sure our foot pegs are going to be in a good position.
Preliminary sketches seem to indicate that they will be in the right position, which means if they are, we can just chop this off and lose it altogether because it's completely unnecessary. But I must say, that is one disadvantage of buying universal, says on eBay, will fit a Honda 404 shock. Because it will, but
If
you
you
have
modify
to
it.
change some bits in the process. So be mindful of that. You do save a lot of money getting the universal ones, and they are exactly the same, but just sort of, if you know what I mean. And other bits will need changing in the meantime. But it can be done if you have the know-how. And he has the know-how. I am learning the know-how, but he already has it.
Don't know where I found it.
Yeah. Does it cost much?
It doesn't cost anything, I've never got any money.
Oh really?
No.
What a pointless know-how.
Yeah. It's free know-how, it's good. I learned it.
I learned it from my book.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, so moving on, we're going to get the tank on, get the seat on, sort our bracket out. We've also, actually prior to this, before we started recording today, we had a little think about indicators and whatnot.
Yes. The original plan, I just want to point out, the original plan was we had 3 of those little round lights, red lights, and then we were going to put 3 in a row on the back here, because it's very unique having 3. But it's going to make it difficult to mount the number plate, because we've only got a limited amount of space between the knobbly tyre and the bottom of this hoop. So that's not going to happen now. Instead,
For me, it was less about how difficult it was to fit the number plate, but more about the fact that I preferred the vision in my head having them on the sides. I'm not going into too much detail because I think that will spoil the surprise.
carry on.
Yeah.
My decision.
Anyway. So on the bracket for the seat, when it bolts down here, we're going to also give ourselves some scope for fitting number plate lights, what are they called? Indicators and brake lights and tail lights. Our number plate,
2 options.
2 options.
You can't see it like that, can you? That's like 2 options. 2 options. There you go.
2 options. Number 1 is do it like everybody else does it and stick it on the back.
The worry is it's going to be a bit too flat.
Yeah, you can't have an upright number plate, that's not ideal.
But we're going to do some research.
Yeah.
1978, we're unsure whether the black number plate rule comes into play there, and that is quite important in this bit. I quite like the idea of a black number plate, and I quite like the idea of a side number plate, which is really weird because I'm very much a symmetrical person. I like whatever on one side to be on the other side. But the number plate to one side, I like that look, as you may have gathered from my old FB Mondial. And the plan is to possibly put it on one side, like so, but we're thinking about doing 2 letters, 2 numbers, no, 2 letters, 1 letter and a number, 2 numbers, and then 1 letter at the bottom. Be quite a long
Something like that.
one.
We need to look into the legalities of that. I don't know whether we can get away with doing that.
As a side note, we're just looking at the amazing box that these shocks came in.
Doesn't inspire much in the way of confidence, if I'm honest.
Doesn't really. It's clearly written in Jinglish. And I quote, "The dampener and spring designed for long durability, more than 1 million stoke."
What is a stoke?
Like a poke?
A stoke in a fire?
Stupid? Yeah, that's what it is, like the stoking action. I stoke you 1 million times.
Please don't. Well, that wish is a bit born. Bit born? Bush is a bit
That
born.
wish is a bit born, you're right.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than a bit born whoosh.
Yeah. Whoosh.
Do stuff.
We need the tank and seat.
Oh, look at the tank and seat.
Can I get the tank and seat?
Anything else? Want the house moved to the left a bit?
Yeah, that'll make more space down the side.
So with some gentle persuasion, the inner metal bit has come out. So, with the help of some fairies.
That's blatant advertising.
Alright, scratch that. With some help of some washing up liquid. Some lubrication.
Hey.
Bit of lemon fresh lube.
Oh yeah, it smells lovely, right? A bit of jiggle joggling.
Therefore, rubbers are not needed.
Look at that, that's lovely.
Fantastic.
A bit of jiggling about, that'll be...
Do you think we should have done this before we did the last bit of filming?
What, check it?
Yeah.
No?
No?
We're overcoming issues. Your new bolts.
My new bolts.
Go and grab one of those.
I have new bolts. I have new bolts. Stainless steel bolts at that.
This is very much a temporary bolt. It's about, it looks like a ball sack.
So it's a bolt sack.
A bolt sack. Very temporary. I'm just going to place a bolt through here.
These are 30mm by M8 bolts with the Allen key head. See that there?
Technically they're set screws, but...
Yeah, that.
I'm just going to whack one of these in here. It's arguing with me. Ooh.
So there we go. Shocks are on.
Sort of.
Yeah, it's in position where it's most likely going to be. Enough for us to measure the seat and see whether the pegs need moving.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this obviously is loose down here. It's not.
Yeah, it's not done out
because the bolt size is wrong for the bush. But it's in there, and we can get an idea of what's going on. We need to put a spacer behind it up here to fit it properly.
Yeah. So on this side, same thing. Take out the inner bit, slide it on, like so. Someone's phone's ringing, and there we go. Now we just need the bottom bit. So then we screw in the bottom piece. I've checked how it winds with the other side, so I know how far to go. There, yeah. Okay, this is a bit fiddly to get in. Gotcha. And we're in. So there we go. Now, whilst we've got you, we've had a bit of a rethink, and we've been making lots of phone calls to AR Motorcycles talking about prices and stuff like that. It turns out that the Hero wheels are expensive. They're £300 each, just for the wheels.
Plus that.
Because they're 3-piece wheels, because they're spokes, so you've got to get the spokes and the rim and put it all together. Plus that, yes. Then you've got to have the tyres on top of that and the brake assembly. So altogether, you're talking about £1,100. That's a lot of money. So we've done some measurements.
Especially when the bike is only £2 grand.
Exactly that. So half the price on just wheels and brakes. Go figure. So we've done some measurements, and it seems that the tyre that is on the back and front of the Hero is a 4.6 by 18 you can get, Bridgestone TW302 tyre, and that should fit on this rim. And the front tyre is a 110, that should fit on there. If it doesn't, then all we've got to do is get forks to fit, and we can modify this swing arm. We can strengthen it and then take a notch out here for the tyre to fit in if that's the problem.
And if the chain's in the way, then we'll just have to go down the route of spacing it out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's no biggie.
But whichever happens, that's going to be the much cheaper and much easier route to go down. I'm not saying that cheaper is always best, but it just seems far too complicated to do it the other way around.
It's not so much cheap, is it?
And I don't have extremely deep pockets.
It's working to a budget and trying to
be sensible about it, yes. It's got to be safe, of course, and it's got to be right, and I want it to be a decent build. Certainly not going to be a cheap, crappy, stick it in, that'll do kind of build. So that's where we're at.
As far as earlier comments where we were saying about straightening the wheel and whatnot, it's actually, we've measured it, it's only 1/8 of an inch out.
Yeah.
So by the time we've moved this back 1/8 of an inch, it's only going to have moved a couple of millimetres at the front, so it's not going to be a big deal.
So that's where we're going next, which means we're going to stick with the drum brakes on the back, which is not really a problem because the brakes are fine. Right, let's get these pegs on.
Foot pegs.
Yeah,
These
so
are
we
our
can
foot pegs. This is the huge thing. It's also the engine mount bolt runs through the bottom here.
In.
You in?
Go, go, go!
Marvellous.
I want to change these foot pegs because they're a bit cumbersome and very 70s.
Well, they're just rubber things slotted on there. We can just take
I
those
want
off.
some of those nice billeted metal ones. Right, pegs are on. Let's get it down on the floor.
Get the wood out
and
of
we'll
the way.
fit the thing.
Right, shift the wood.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the shocks cannot be that high.
They need to be that high.
They can't be.
They need to be.
They can't be.
But they need to be.
But they can't be.
They can be. I'll just make the foot peg things, the stand bigger.
Really?
Yeah, I'll just add a bit to the stand.
Just stick it on the side stand for a bit, see how far it leans over. What a quality stand.
That's alright.
I like that. That leans well.
Does it need a centre stand?
I don't care about centre stands. I've never been a centre stand kind of person.
Alright, we'll take it off.
It's only if we take it to shows and stuff, it's more stable on a centre stand, isn't it? Having said that, at this kind of angle, it's not going to blow over, is it?
Nope. Alright, well, leave that open for debate. There are plenty of bikes out there that don't have centre stands.
I agree.
It's not a
I
requirement.
agree. And to be honest, it's just something else big and cumbersome that doesn't necessarily need to be there.
It's weight saving, which is what cafe building is all about.
And it's ugly.
Yeah. Alright, centre stand's gone.
Right, brilliant.
Everybody, no centre stand.
Fantastic.
Get rid of that. Slot that under and over. Needs to be kind of jiggled into position up top here.
Okay, you ready? That's a nice position, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels good. Even these bars. I was worried about these bars needing cutting down.
No, you're happy with that.
Once
I think
obviously
the
they,
width,
I don't know, maybe they do need
just a bit.
½ an inch off the end because my hands should be. That's really thin. I like that.
You can tuck your knees in.
Yeah.
In fact, that's perfect because I like the fact that you actually can put your knees in the knee recess.
Yes.
It's working nice.
You have a sit. See what you think.
Oh, that's it. Mount it, I suppose. You got it?
Yep.
Oh yeah, that is a nice position, isn't it?
That is, isn't it?
Let's make some brackets for the seat.
Let's do that. Hey, welcome.
Hey, what's up?
I've got the bolts, but we need some metal for the seat brackets.
I have just the thing. Ta-da!
What the hell is that?
That, my friend, is a seat bracket.
But it looks like shit.
Yes, but watch this! On second thoughts, that really is
Still looks like shit.
garbage. That's a lot worse than I thought it was.
Yeah, great one.
So,
Thanks for that. Next.
I think we'll just throw that away, huh?
Yeah. Welcome.
Yes.
Try again.
Ah! That might just work. Bob on.
Bob on?
Try that. That's the thing, isn't it?
No.
Pins are a bit rusty. So after you've been faffing around bringing snacks, I have adjusted the seat brackets a touch. I've spun these round, which doesn't do a great deal, but it does bring these holes forward very slightly. Very slightly. I'll just talk to you, shall I? Put them forward slightly so they're a bit closer to the shocks, makes it look a bit nicer when we put the brackets on. I've also spaced down this front one because we've been having a bit of trouble getting the front edge of the seat past the back of the tank. So that now fits on there quite nice. Plus we're going to have a rubber pad on there, so it needed to be adjusted anyway. So that fits on there lovely.
So what have you been doing?
Paying attention, were you? Nope.
What have you been doing?
Oh, you know, just picking my nose, rolling it in balls and flicking it at the set lights.
So Malcolm has come up with a better idea, as we are not needing these rear peg brackets.
All of this, chopping and messing around with this, without cutting fingers off, because we still don't have a vice.
Yeah.
It's just not worth the risk. So, cutting this off anyway. So this little piece here, I'm going to cut it straight across there, straight between them bolt holes and round it off nice. And I'm going to use that hole with a little triangle piece as our seat bracket.
And that will just go on the inside of this hoop.
Yep.
And bolt through. There'll be a captive nut welded to the inside of the seat bracket, and then the rest will just go straight through.
And the Brucey bonus is there's another one of these on the other side exactly the same.
Indeed there is.
Marvellous. Oh, tea.
I know, it's great, isn't it?
Oh,
Especially when it's hot.
Not the tea.
Yeah, I mean the tea being hot and
the
the
things
weather's
that could have
cold.
been said at that moment, that worked very well.
That was good, wasn't it? Yeah.
Talking of tea, in a cup. If you happen to be working in a little workshop and you've got a metal bench or a metal toolbox or something with a metal top, don't put your tea on it, because it makes your tea go cold very quick. I learnt this, possibly from Wheeler Dealers or something, but just thought I'd share it. Put it on a piece of wood or a book or something and it keeps it warm longer. Just a little tip there for you.
I'm sorry, is this building a bike video or Mary Berry's tea tips?
Look, a key part of any build is a cup with a hot beverage in it, whether that's tea or coffee.
Hot beverage, that's very
well, some
big
people
bag
don't
food.
like tea, do they? So I never watched that, I never liked it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you
So-
would if you came up with comments like that. Moving on.
If you place your cup on a metal surface, it's a cold surface, whereas if you put it on a book or a piece of wood,
Sorry about this.
yeah, it keeps it warm longer. I think that's a valuable tip for anyone working in a garage or a workshop. Worst places, you know them, the car lifts, and you put it on the arm of the lift while you're working on the car, that goes cold so fast.
More tips about
don't do
tea.
it. Just don't do it.
Or-
Keep your tea warm, folks.
Keep hold of it in your hand and drink the bloody thing before you carry on.
No, because if you happen to be working in a working place, you can't just stand there and drink tea all day long. You have to put it down and do stuff in between.
Yeah, we work very differently, you and I.
Let's face it, right? If I was working for you back in the day, which I tried to avoid doing, if I'm honest with you, when we were working for the same company.
I was the boss.
Yeah, I know, but a different branch. If someone said to me, "Can you go over and help out?" I'd just say, "Can you not send such and such?"
I'll be honest.
I always ask for someone else to go.
Whenever they sent someone over, I would often say, "Don't send Malcolm."
Yeah.
Not because I didn't want you to work there, but because,
No, because it's awkward. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and you wouldn't want a person stood around drinking tea. You'd want them to put the tea down and crack on with whatever they're doing, and then crack on with their tea. That's the point I'm making.
Eventually.
Yeah, well, you got to beat around the bush a bit. Talking of beating around the bush, no, I haven't got anything on that. I'm just.
Well, let me guess. Don't put your bush down on a bit of metal. Stick it on a bit of wood in case it, friction.
Yeah, watch out for splinters there. Huh?
Yeah. Nothing worse than splinters in your bush.
Well, you've already got wood there, of course.
the best in the world, but it's only my third time welding and I will get better. And it's on the inside, so you're not really going to see it. Stuck okay though.
We can still clean that up a little bit before it's powder coated.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Now we have a little bit of adjustment to do with this bracket. This is the one that bolts onto the back of the seat and that bracket bolts through into. It's not quite lining up because this is obviously not designed for this bike. So we're going to have to cut through here, move it up a little bit and out a tiny bit so it matches quite nicely, and then chop off the corner so it doesn't catch on the hoop at the back. Weld that back up and we're good to go.
So there's our seat bracket. Well, that's a millimetre where I've just chopped it. All we're literally doing is taking it from there and moving it up 6 millimetres, because we wanted a total of 7, but we've cut 1 mil with the blade. So moving it to there, welding it back on. Simple as that really. Moving it up, moving it out, job done.
So as you can see, now that is bolted in place and the bracket is done, that sits on there bloody lovely.
I've just lowered the rear suspension, probably about just under ½ an inch. I think it looks a bit better. Mark's not convinced. However, once it's got a knobbly tyre on there, it might be a bit different thing, and I might want to jack it back up again. But maybe just chuck us some opinions in the chat box thing down below.
I think, as a cafe racer, yes. As a cafe scrambler, it's too low.
Maybe, and
like you say,
knobbly tyres
we're not
on.
going to know until we get the tyres on.
And when you're sitting on it also, it's going to go down a little bit.
Yeah.
So, well, I don't know, we'll see. I mean, as it stands, I think it looks right like that. Not too much of a gap there, I don't think.
These roads intersect, on each one I reflect. These lines write my story. These places change me, each one replacing. Like night into morning, I miss the open air, the going anywhere, riding with you, like we used to. Guess I'm better off alone, never know when I'll get home, but I know that home's where the heart is.
So there we are. These brackets are now gone because they are completely unnecessary, and I think it looks much better, especially now the seat is back on. At first I was a bit, don't know,
Yeah.
but now the seat's back on and we step back, much better. What do you think? So what is the plan for the next episode? Well, the next episode we're going to have some tyres on here, the right tyres, so you can see what it looks like as a scrambler. Then we need to decide when the tyres are on, what is going to happen. If there's any kind of modification required on the swing arm, we'll do that. If there isn't, we're going to be stripping it down and tidying up and chopping the finer little bits off and welding some more tiny little bits and getting the other bits all sorted out, ready to be powder coated. So what colours are going to be powder coated? Well, we think it's going to be satin now, not shiny. We're going to go for a satin metallic gunmetal grey. And then the tank is going to be metallic burnt orange. And we've also had another discussion, and those plastic panels that went on here, they're not going back on. Instead, we're going to have an alloy piece cut sort of ovalish shape, and that's where the number's going to go. And all it'll do then is hide any kind of battery that's underneath there. Other than that, I don't like the open bit. I personally don't like it.
No, we'll fill it with stuff,
Yes.
but we'll hide, because there was a lot of wiring in there. I want
There
to
was.
hide as much of that as I can under the tank. There's a huge space under there, and we can fit all sorts of stuff away.
We're also going to think about the front mudguard. Now the rear mudguard isn't really going to exist. It's going to be something tiny and...
Well, I'm not sure we need anything at all. I think we'll just put a liner
Oh, that's what
under
else
here
we're doing.
and come down underneath here.
The brackets for the lights and indicators. So
Yes,
you'll be
we
seeing that
we
going
do
on
need
next
to
time
make-
as well.
We do need to make some of those, because
Yes,
they'll need to be powder coated also.
they will. The bracket that's on here at the moment for the old mudguard is going to be gone. We're going to make up a new one with a couple of over pieces and mount it that way. And that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, like and share if you haven't already. And we will see you next week for part 8. And until then, ride and drive carefully.
But have fun.
Indeed. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.